You drink water, maybe a lot of it, and somehow you still feel dry, tired, or headachy. That's frustrating because you're doing the one thing everyone says to do. The catch is this: hydration is not just water in, it's water plus electrolytes, plus hormones, plus how your gut absorbs fluid, plus how fast you're losing it. If any one of those pieces is off, you can drink and still feel like nothing changed. In this breakdown, you'll learn the most common reasons water doesn't stick and how to spot which one fits you. We'll talk about salt and potassium, but also about caffeine, alcohol, sweating, and even certain medications that change fluid balance. And we'll keep it practical, because the goal isn't to memorize biology. The goal is to feel normal again after you drink. Let's start with the simplest idea that most people miss. Your body needs minerals to hold on to water. Moving to slide 2. Think of electrolytes as the traffic controllers for water in your body. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium help move water into cells and keep it in the right compartments. If you drink plain water while your electrolytes are low, you may dilute what you have, pee more, and still feel thirsty. This is especially common if you sweat a lot, eat very low salt, or follow a very restrictive diet. It can also happen after stomach bugs or long flights where you're not eating much. A simple clue is that your urine turns clear quickly, yet your mouth still feels dry, or you feel lightheaded when you stand. That doesn't automatically mean drink less water. It means your body may need a better balance. For many people, adding electrolytes with water, especially after heavy sweating, feels different within an hour or two. The key is balance, not extremes. Too much sodium can be a problem for some people, so the right approach depends on your situation. Moving to slide 3. Another reason you can feel dehydrated is simply losing more fluid than you realize. Sweat is obvious during workouts, but it also happens in hot rooms, under heavy clothing, or during long walks. Breathing losses matter too. Dry air and mouth breathing can pull water out faster than you'd expect. And then there's frequent urination, which can come from high fluid intake, but also from certain drinks and health conditions. If you're replacing losses with plain water only, you may still feel flat, crampy, or low energy. A practical way to think about it is this: hydration is a moving target. It's not one big drink in the morning and you're done. It's matching intake to what you're losing across the day. If you're active, you may need a plan: water plus electrolytes, and enough food to provide minerals. If you're not active but still losing a lot, that's a sign to look deeper at what's driving the losses. Moving to slide 4. Let's talk about the I drink water and immediately pee problem. Your kidneys constantly decide how much water to keep and how much to release. If you drink a large amount quickly, your body often dumps the excess to protect your blood salt concentration. That can make you feel like water goes straight through you. It's not that your body hates water, it's that it prefers steady input. Spreading fluids out can help. Small amounts more often, especially if you're also eating. Food slows the process and brings sodium and potassium along for the ride. Another factor is that some people drink a lot to chase thirst that's actually coming from dry mouth, stress, or salty foods. So they end up overdrinking without solving the root cause. A useful check is urine color and frequency together. Very clear urine plus very frequent trips can mean you're overdoing plain water, not underdoing hydration. Moving to slide 5. Thirst is not a perfect water meter. Sometimes you feel thirsty because your mouth is dry, not because your whole body lacks water. Mouth breathing, snoring, certain allergy conditions, and even talking a lot can dry the mouth fast. Anxiety and stress can do it too, because they change saliva flow. In those cases, you can drink and still feel thirsty because the sensation is local. Another twist is that very salty meals can make you thirsty, even if your total body water is fine. Your body is trying to balance concentration. The practical takeaway is to separate dry mouth thirst from dehydration thirst. If your mouth is dry but your urine is normal and your energy is okay, you may need to address the mouth dryness itself, like nasal breathing support, room humidity, or timing salty foods, rather than just adding more water. If thirst comes with dizziness, fatigue, or dark urine, that's a different story. Moving to slide 6. Caffeine and alcohol deserve a clear, calm explanation. Caffeine can increase urination in some people, especially at higher doses or if you're not used to it. But in regular coffee or tea drinkers, the effect is often smaller than people assume. Alcohol is more consistently dehydrating because it reduces the hormone that helps you retain water, and it can also disturb sleep, which changes how you feel the next day. The bigger issue is behavior. Coffee can replace water, and alcohol often comes with salty foods and less sleep. So you wake up thirsty and foggy and think, I need more water, when you may also need electrolytes and rest. If you notice dehydration symptoms after caffeine, try pairing it with water and food and watch total dose. If symptoms follow alcohol, a more reliable strategy is water plus electrolytes before bed and again after waking. Moving to slide 7. Your gut is where hydration actually becomes usable. If your digestion is off, you can drink water and still not absorb it well. Diarrhea is the obvious example, but even milder issues, like rapid transit, certain food intolerances, or chronic stomach upset, can reduce effective hydration. There's also the too much water on an empty stomach effect, where water moves through quickly and you feel sloshy but not better. Oral rehydration solutions work well in many situations because they use the sodium-glucose co-transport system. Basically, a small amount of sugar and salt helps pull water into the body more efficiently. You don't need a medical product for everyday life, but the principle matters. Water plus a bit of sodium and carbohydrate can absorb better than water alone. If you frequently feel dehydrated with digestive symptoms, that's a strong sign to focus on gut triggers and to consider discussing it with a clinician. Moving to slide 8. Now let's connect hydration to hormones, because this is where things get confusing. Your body uses hormones like ADH and aldosterone to decide whether to conserve water and sodium. If those signals are off, because of sleep loss, high stress, or certain health conditions, your thirst and urination patterns can change. Blood sugar also matters. When glucose is high, the kidneys pull more water into urine, which can create real dehydration and intense thirst. That's one reason persistent thirst and frequent urination should not be ignored. Another common situation is after very low-carb dieting at the start, when glycogen drops and you lose water and sodium quickly. People often describe it as feeling dry, even while drinking. The practical move is to look for patterns: thirst with frequent urination, nighttime bathroom trips, or sudden changes in how much you're peeing. Those patterns are more informative than the number of glasses you drank. Moving to slide 9. Let's make this practical with a simple self-check that doesn't require gadgets. First, look at urine color, but don't obsess. Pale yellow is often a reasonable target. Second, notice frequency. If you're going constantly and it's very clear, you may be diluting electrolytes or drinking too fast. Third, check for signs like dizziness when standing, headaches, muscle cramps, or unusually low workout performance. Fourth, consider context: heat, sweating, alcohol, a long day of talking, or a salty meal. Then, adjust one variable at a time. For example, keep water steady, but add electrolytes once per day, especially after sweating. Or keep electrolytes the same, but spread water into smaller doses. If you change 5 things at once, you won't know what helped. And if symptoms are strong, persistent, or paired with chest pain, confusion, fainting, or severe weakness, that's not a DIY moment. That's a reason to seek medical care. Moving to slide 10. One of the most overlooked hydration tools is food. Many people try to hydrate with only beverages, but meals provide sodium, potassium, and water-rich volume that stays in the body longer. Think soups, yogurt, fruit, cooked vegetables, and meals with a normal amount of salt. Potassium-rich foods like potatoes, beans, bananas, and leafy greens support fluid balance inside cells. Protein matters too, because low overall intake can affect blood volume and how you feel. If you're trying to avoid salt completely, you may accidentally make hydration harder, especially if you're active. On the other hand, if your diet is very processed, you might get lots of sodium but not enough potassium and magnesium, which can also feel off. The goal is not to chase a perfect number. It's a steady pattern: regular meals, enough minerals, and water that matches your activity. For many people, that fixes the "I drink water but still feel thirsty" loop. Moving to slide 11. If you're sweating a lot, hydration becomes more like refueling than just drinking. Sweat contains water and electrolytes, especially sodium, Replacing only water can leave you feeling weak, headachy, or cramp-prone, even if you're technically drinking enough. A practical approach is to match intensity. For light activity, water and a normal meal may be enough. For longer, hotter, or more intense sessions, consider adding electrolytes during or after. Also pay attention to your clothes and environment. Overheating drives sweat losses fast. Another overlooked factor is that thirst can lag behind losses. By the time you feel very thirsty, you may already be behind. That's why a small, steady plan works better than waiting until you're desperate. If you've ever had a day where you drank a ton after exercise and still felt wrung out, that's a classic sign you replaced volume, but not minerals. Moving to slide 12, there's also a situation where drinking more water is not the answer, when the problem is too much water relative to sodium. This can happen if someone aggressively drinks gallons, especially during endurance activity, or if they're trying to flush their system. In extreme cases, blood sodium can drop too low, which is dangerous. Most people won't reach that point, but mild versions can still make you feel awful, nauseated, headachy, weak, and strangely thirsty. The takeaway is simple. More is not always better. If you're drinking huge amounts and your urine is constantly clear, consider pulling back slightly and adding electrolytes instead. If you ever have severe symptoms like confusion, vomiting, or worsening headache after heavy water intake, that's urgent and needs medical evaluation. Hydration is about the right concentration, not just volume. Your body cares about balance because your nerves and muscles rely on it. Moving to slide 13. Let's wrap this into a simple action plan you can actually use. Step 1. Stop thinking in daily totals only. Think in situations: morning, meals, workouts, heat, and evenings. Step 2. Pair water with minerals. That can be an electrolyte mix, a lightly salted meal, or a snack with potassium-rich foods. Step 3. Drink steadily, not in huge bursts, unless you're correcting a clear deficit. Step 4. Watch your patterns for a week. First, urine frequency, headaches, cramps, and energy. If you notice persistent thirst with frequent urination, or symptoms that don't improve with reasonable changes, it's worth discussing with a healthcare professional to rule out underlying causes. If you want one simple experiment, try this. For 3 days, keep your water similar, but add 1 electrolyte serving after your sweatiest part of the day. Then compare how you feel. If this helped, tell me your experience in the comments. Did electrolytes or steady sipping make a bigger difference, A or B? And if you want more clear, practical health explanations like this, subscribe. This information is not a substitute for medical advice.